In our second segment, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Bill Meador, principal agent and owner of Bill Meador Insurance Agency. Bill has been in the insurance business since 2005 and opened his insurance agency in 2012 with the purpose of being able to provide multiple insurance options to his clients to best serve their coverage and pricing needs. He also serves in our community as an affiliate and committee member to the Roanoke Valley Association of Realtors and manages his own networking group, the Roanoke Valley Business Professionals Organization. Bill, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. I'm curious. We've been talking, I feel like, for years via email. And so I'm so thrilled to welcome you into our studio and learn more about you. And I'm curious about, you started your business, and what was it about what you did, what you do, that you wanted to do it on your own? And why did you start your business?
Yeah, great question. As you said prior, I've been in the insurance business since 2005, right out of college, and I got great training through a great company. And it got to the point I was 7 years in, and I just needed to be able to provide more options for my clients. I was kind of limited in the carrier that I represented prior to that. And to be honest with you, it was one of those situations where honestly, I got tired of having to turn people down when it came to their insurance needs.
Interesting.
So I recognized a need that the average person needed to have options when it comes to their auto insurance or home insurance or life insurance. And so that was the main motivating factor behind me starting my agency. And I couldn't have done it at a more stressful time because this was August of 2012. Started my business out of my basement. My wife and I had just had our first child in May.
Oh, you wanted to do it all at once. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Crazy.
So all the motivation in the world to kind of get up and run in and get the ball rolling. So crazy times. I worked out of my basement for probably the first 2 years before I developed a book of business and was able to hire my first employee, and gradually over time just, was able to pick up more carriers to represent and ultimately
I love a good
more
story
options.
that starts out in your basement. Like
That's
that
right.
is the passion behind you. You are ready to make this work no matter what happens.
Right. Absolutely. So crazy time, but best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. And so I'm curious about, what is it about insurance? I mean, you said you started it right out of college. So like, what was it about insurance that drew you into that industry and made you really interested in being part of that?
Great question. So I have a marketing degree from James Madison, and I knew coming out of college I wanted to sell something. I just didn't know what I wanted to sell. And back then, we really didn't learn about insurance in high school or college. So coming out of college, I knew what insurance was, but I really couldn't tell you anything about it.
It's that thing we were on our parents' version for a long time. And
Exactly. You didn't really know much because
No.
they didn't teach it. And so I got connected with a local headhunter that was a family friend of ours at the time. And I told her I wanted to be in sales. I didn't know what I wanted to sell. And she presented the opportunity to be an insurance agent. And I said, okay, great. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And she, one thing that's always stuck out in my mind is she said, if you want to sell something, you might as well sell something that everybody has to have, that it's a necessity.
Makes perfect sense.
And that, that people are always looking to shop better rates, better coverage. And I said, that makes perfect sense. That's what I want to try. And so that's how I kind of got involved in the insurance business right out of college. Brand new to the industry.
That's so funny because I know you from the years of the many awards you've won in our Best of Roanoke Awards. Like, you are not a novice to this by any means. And the fact that you sort of, you kind of not stumbled into it, but you sort of like wandered into it and suddenly like, I'm really good at this. Like, I really am passionate about this now. It's really exciting. And all the other options that we have. I mean, insurance sounds like this really scary thing if you're not familiar with some of the things. And I'm kind of curious if you could break down, like, if you were talking to college students right now, what would you tell them? Like, why is insurance important, first of all, to have?
Sure. Yeah. And insurance is one of those topics, like you mentioned, everybody has to have, everybody knows a little bit about it, but the average person has no idea what they're covered for, what their deductibles are, anything like that. So we see situations on a daily basis where people get into a car accident, for example, or they unfortunately suffer a house fire, or something happens that triggers their insurance to kick in. And unfortunately, at that point in time, they realize that they are either severely underinsured or don't have any coverage at all. So that's a main topic. It's a hot topic right now going on in our industry, is the average person is not educated. And it's our job as local insurance agents to be able to educate our potential clients coming in as to the correct amounts of coverage they need to where they're not put in a bad situation.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because you're talking to people sometimes on their worst day when they really don't want to have that conversation. Instead of right now, before anything bad could happen, what are my options? What do I need to be thinking about? What do I need for myself and my family? As opposed to, I just had a car accident. What am I supposed to do now? Like that pre-education is really key, I think.
It is. And the average person, if they're going online to shop their insurance rates, what are you going to do? You're going to go online and click the cheapest options available because you don't know any better.
And I'm still not going to know what any of it means.
Right. You're just looking at that bottom line number,
right,
and you're trying to get your rate as cheap as possible, right, without considering the implications it could have down the road if you ever had to use your insurance. So we see this on a daily basis, and it's our job and it's our duty as local insurance providers to just educate our clients as to the right amounts of coverage that they need so they're not ever put in a bad spot.
Yeah, that's really curious. And so, you've really, again, you're an award winner in multiple sort of categories and options across from not just the Roanoker, but of other, industries. And so I'm thinking about what sets you for all this kind of success. I mean, what is it about your insurance agency that is set apart from everybody else that people really know, that's Bill, I got to go talk to him?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say for me, it really comes down to being able to develop relationships within the community, really slowing down and taking the time to get to know people and get to know what their needs are and being able to meet those needs over time. And so when I was fresh out of college, I learned from day one how to effectively cold call on businesses. I was the guy, young punk kid out of college, right? Knocking down doors of real estate offices, mortgage companies, even going door to door in neighborhoods, just introducing myself, giving out my business card.
I love that you're going door to door. That's great.
That used to be a thing. That used to be a thing. And so what happened over time is I developed, thick skin, right? I didn't mind hearing the word no, and being in sales, that's like, you hate hearing the word no, but you got to know to work through that. And in sales, it's always a numbers game, right? So the more people you talk to, the more sales you're going to get, the luckier you're going to get.
Right.
So for me, again, going back to just developing and cultivating these business relationships where I've developed so many, dozens and dozens of business partners, whether they be in the real estate industry, the mortgage industry, the car sales industry, and being from the area has helped out tremendously.
That was my follow-up question. So we were talking about, we'll get to talk about all the cool things that you love to do in Roanoke towards the end. But you're from the area, you grew up here?
Correct. Okay. Born and raised, Cave Spring High School graduate, whoop, whoop. 2001. So that definitely helped, especially getting started brand new into the industry, as I could kind of pull from family, friends, and my networks and just kind of expand that over time. And what happened is, the cool thing is it turned into me being that young punk kid out of college, knocking down doors and introducing myself very awkwardly to a lot of different people. That's turned into a lot of very profitable business relationships over time.
Yeah.
And we're talking, that was since 2005. So I'm almost 20 years into it right now.
Hard to believe, right?
It is. Saying that, it's like, wow.
Yeah, your eyes, you're like, oh no. But I love that. And I love that. So, you're part of these professional organizations, one of your own creation. And so to be able to impact the community in that way, it's not just about hitting that sales goal. It's not just about the quota or the numbers. It's really about that connection that you've mentioned, making sure that your clients understand that you have their best interests at heart, which I think is key, right? You're not just like, you're no longer knocking down doors to hit the numbers. Now it's about sitting down. What do you need? How can I help you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. It's, obviously you want to make a sale, and obviously I'm not naive to the fact that people are going to save money at the end of the day. But for me, it's just as important, if not more important, to make sure my clients are properly protected. And then if we can save the money at the end of the day, great.
Right.
But my number one priority is making sure that our customers are insured correctly, that they're not driving around with state minimum liability limits of coverage that they don't even know about. And it always shocks me to see people that come to us new to our agency that might have been referred by a friend or family or business partner who don't even know what their deductible is or what a deductible is.
I'm currently like, oh, I don't think I know what that is. Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, I'm gonna come talk to you later. Okay. Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's one of those things, like it's important to me. Of course, we want to make sales, we want to grow, but at the same time, I want to develop and cultivate these relationships within the community. And as you said, be able to give back to the community at the end of the day. So we do a lot of giving back. I support my local high school with, we donate all their bottled water for all their athletic teams.
That's so cool. Like, that's such a great way to, like, just a little tiny way to impact a big ripple effect.
Yeah, just a little bit here and there when I can, partner with a nonprofit, for example, and give back, whether it be a gift card or drawing or even just writing them a check. I know when COVID first hit, we partnered with probably, at least a dozen restaurants and local businesses.
I remember, I do.
To purchase gift cards and give those out to the community. So I love being involved in and being able to give back to my community whenever I can.
Yeah, it's always really exciting to me personally. So I was talking about this earlier. I'm from Danville, right down the road. Roanoke was the big city to me growing up. To be able to see somebody, a hometown person, really understand what their community has given them over the course of their lifetime, and for you to be able to now give back in your own way, like, that's really impactful. That's what sets your business apart, like that really personal factor that you have.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I don't do it for the spotlight, but at the same time, if I have the opportunity to give back, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think that's amazing. And so I have been haunting your social media pages for a while now, obviously. And so in thinking about, you do these great videos recently where you have been on camera talking about some of the FAQs that you've been getting. And a lot of clients might not even know the questions to ask. And so you're bringing up, all these details that they might need to know in a very short, nice, quippy, kind of like TikTok appeal. And so I'm curious about, like, what is one of the questions you get? Like, what is your most asked question these days?
Oh, gosh. I would say if we're talking right here, right now, It is, what is going on with my insurance rate?
Oh, well, that's a pretty big
Why
one.
has my rate shot through the roof? Mm-hmm. And that's a valid question that we get multiple times a day. And that's actually one of the videos I posted recently, is what's going on here, because you wouldn't believe the amount of phone calls that we get. Why has my rate gone up 20, 30, even 40%?
Wow.
When in the past, it goes up maybe 1% to 3% on average. But all of a sudden, over the past 12 months, people are getting hit with these astronomical rate increases. And essentially, in a nutshell, to answer that question, what I tell people is, at the end of the day, the way insurance companies set their rates, they have to figure out a formula with how much they're paying out in claims versus how much they're collecting in premium dollars. And with inflation going through the roof over the past 24 months, what insurance companies have found is that average claim they're having to pay out has nearly doubled. And so what happens when companies are doubling out what they're paying in claims, they have to increase their rates on the back end,
right,
just to remain profitable. And what you've seen is, especially some of the bigger name companies, they've taken extreme measures to no longer insure people in certain states. They're non-renewing policies across the board. They're making it more difficult for agents such as myself to issue new business, because they want to make sure the business that we're issuing is going to be a good, profitable client in the long run, and that we're not having to pay out double in claims what we're collecting in premiums.
That does not sound easy in any way, shape, or form, like across the board. That sounds like a really layered, complicated layer of, you've got to find a solution to those things, but also,
Right.
sort of balance your business.
And for us, the solution, the number one benefit that we offer, aside from being local, is having those options available to our clients. So we consider ourselves a one-stop shop. If somebody calls us, we collect their information. We then take their information and plug it into all of our different insurance companies' websites to determine not only the best coverage, but the best price for them as well.
I love that you're helping them shop around and making sure that they're getting the best deal. Like, it's not just about whatever you can offer them. It's about what are their best offerings for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm thinking about you. You're lighting up as you're talking about all this. I can see how passionate you are about it with 20 years of expert in the industry. I'm curious about, you talked about when you launched your business in the basement and your baby motivated you.
Right.
But these days, aside from your family, what else motivates you?
Gosh, honestly, like, we still do quite a bit of business over the phone and online. However, if it's up to me, I would see every single one of my clients face to face. It's just not feasible in this day and age. People don't necessarily have the time to come to your office and do business face to face as I would like them to do.
Are there more Zooms now? Do you do a lot of Zooms?
A lot of more Zooms, a lot of more business done through DocuSign over the phone. However, any opportunity that I get to bring a client into my office, I'm always going to offer that first and foremost. I give them the option. And the thing that motivates me is we still hold multiple face-to-face appointments on a daily, weekly basis. I just love seeing the look on people's faces when they realize just what we can do for them, whether it be saving them money, whether it be doubling their insurance coverage that they knew that they were severely underinsured on, or whether it be just having a local agent and local contact to call on if they ever need something. So we really pride ourselves in my agency. We're not a 1-800 number. You're not going to call and be on hold for 5, 10, 15 minutes waiting to talk to somebody in a call center that might be located in California or even out of the country, right? You're calling a local number. We know you as a person. You're not just a policy number, right? So you call us, we know you by your name. And I like to build those relationships with our clients, and that builds trust over the long run. They know that they can call us. They know that, we're going to look after their best interests and be able to handle their needs, whatever it may be.
Yeah. And you've really grown your team too. I mean, I know that you just had a new recent hire that you shared on your social media because, again, haunting. But that's really exciting that it went from just you in your basement. And now how many team members do you have?
It's very exciting. So now I'm up to 4 full-time team members.
That's awesome.
Probably hope to have a 5th by the summer.
Yeah.
And just looking back on it, just where I started with literally nothing. I mean, I started what you call a scratch agency, which is I started with 0 clients, 0 money in my pockets.
That's pretty scary.
Had a cell phone and a laptop and a $20 desk I got off of a yard sale is how I started my business essentially. And to think how it's grown over these past 12 years it's pretty remarkable.
I was going to say,
exciting.
did you ever expect it to kind of blow up so successfully? I mean, obviously you want it to be, but did you ever say, oh my gosh, I'm going to have 4 or 5 employees working for me. I'm going to be helping out hundreds of people in the Valley. I'm going to be giving away, gift cards and community input and leading organizational groups. Did you know that from the get-go?
Maybe not from the get-go. I knew that was going to be my long-term goal, though, is I wanted to develop an agency that was going to be the most reputable. Ultimately, I want to be the biggest name in the insurance business here in Roanoke. That at the end of the day.
I think you've managed to hit that one.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, we're always looking to continue to grow. It's, I'm very sales focused, but at the same time, I want to take care of my existing clients on the back end to make sure their needs are handled year in and year out. So we're not just, you don't call us and we sell you a policy and then we forget about you. We maintain communication and touch throughout the years.
I'll probably bump into you at the restaurant or the event or whatever. I think that's really important too. That, like you said, that personal effect that I could see you at the next, Red Sox game.
Absolutely.
That's super fun that you're not just a guy on a phone somewhere across the country.
Right.
That's really important.
For sure.
You had mentioned DocuSign and things like that. I'm curious about the evolution of sort of not just technology, but sort of the evolution of the industry as a whole, where you started versus where you are now. Are those things that you maybe foresaw coming down the road, or you knew DocuSign was going to be a big deal once you saw it the first time, or things like that? I mean, the internet, it's not brand new anymore and it's sticking around. So.
Right. Yeah, so when I first got into the business, I don't think DocuSign was even a thing. So they required us at that time to get hand signatures on every single new policy that we wrote. So with me working out of my basement, I couldn't realistically have somebody come to my house to sign documents, right? So it was a balance of me being on the road half the day, collecting signatures, coming back home, checking missed calls, voicemails, getting back to those people, then hitting the road again to get more signatures.
Golly.
So yeah, I mean, DocuSign has definitely been a tremendous technology tool that we use in this day and age, and that's allowed us to be more efficient and ultimately grow our client base. But again, I still go back to the old school approach of if I can meet somebody face to face and go over their insurance needs with them and point out face to face where they're underinsured or what we can do to help them, I'm going to choose that option 100% of the time.
Yeah, they can just come to your office instead of your basement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, and I mean, that's a good point too. You're talking about all the travel that you were doing essentially to make that happen. And so today, technology, it's great. And then it's also got its downsides,
Right.
because obviously you're probably trying to make yourself available 24/7 to some degree. But do you find it to be smoother, easier than it was 12 years ago in terms of the equipment that you have available, the technology at your fingertips when you do need it, when you can't get in person, or just the social media marketing aspect of it? I mean, that's kind of big too.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, honestly, because it has made your life easier in terms of efficiency and being able to reach more clients at a much quicker pace, right? You can make a Facebook post and share it or boost it and reach hundreds and thousands of people, depending on how much you're willing to spend, right?
Right.
But again, it's kind of a curse on one end because being tied in all the time as a business owner.
Yeah, do you sleep at
I'm not
night?
just 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right? I'm all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm responding to emails late at night after I put my kids to bed. I'm, requoting people or shopping rates, or I'm always doing something where I'm plugged in. And it's funny, we were talking before we came online. I mean, I took that spring break trip with my family last week, and we were out of the country, and I was completely unplugged.
Were you
for about
panicked a
4
little bit?
days. It was the longest I've been without no Wi-Fi,
12
unplugged.
years.
And I mean, my wife, it was just a running joke, like, how long can you last
Yeah.
without checking your email or checking any missed calls or voicemails?
Yeah.
And it was good to take a break. You need that mental break
Yeah.
every now and then.
Did you find yourself still trying to reach for the email though? Like,
There was when we were in the Bahamas, I made the mistake of seeing a free Wi-Fi zone, and I made that mistake of plugging in just for a few minutes and realized I had 300 plus emails that I had to get back to.
well, I hope you quickly turned your phone off and walked back away. But that's the sign of a good business owner, is that you know that you need to check it every once in a while when you're on vacation.
That's right. I did my best at out of office replies and all that. But luckily, I have a great team.
I was about to
held
say,
down the fort for me, and I mean, they were phenomenal. So big shout out to them.
Well, and that's a good seg, because in thinking about so your wife Amanda, and you have 2 daughters, Emerson and Cameron, and a son Braden. So how old are they, out of curiosity?
So Emerson's 11, Cameron is 8, and Braden is 2.
Oh, baby.
Yes.
Okay, so you got little ones.
Yes.
So, okay, well, that's a great question. So you've got a nice wide variety of ages. So when you aren't serving all your many clients and answering phones at midnight, what are you guys doing out in the area? Because you're from here. So I think that that's pretty exciting to, again, see the evolution of what you used to be able to do as a teenager and now what you can do as an adult here in Roanoke.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now that it's starting to get warmer a little bit, I mean, love taking the kids outside, any opportunity we can get.
Yeah.
Of course, Braden, he hasn't seen a park that he doesn't fall in love with.
Well,
so we're always at a local park, chasing him around, and we found out it's completely different raising a boy than it is girls. A much more energy and chasing him around. And so you can find us, any park locally here, Southwest County, any weekend. Gosh, we love going to like the Green Goat along the Greenway.
That's a perfect space. And a great family space. Perfect.
Yes, let the kids run around, have lunch or dinner, then take a walk on the Greenway.
Wear the energy out,
Absolutely, that's the key.
That's awesome. And what do you think are maybe some exciting additions or things that maybe you didn't have growing up that you have now as an adult here in the area?
And
you can say breweries only because you weren't 21 always, but
That's fair. I don't know. I mean, I think the trampoline parks, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have that growing up.
That's true.
And that's something my kids love to do. My oldest daughter's on the Cave Spring middle school cheer team. So she can get on a trampoline and do flips and all that. She's all about. And of course, Braden and Cameron, they love it. I mean, no kid doesn't like a trampoline.
Well, I mean, I'm a big kid, so I think that's super fun anyway. Yeah. My neighbors have a trampoline, and she's like 13, and I'm like, can I just come out there and like hang out with you? Because I think trampoline's super fun.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome. And the way that you are able to, again, give back to Roanoke in a way that it's given back to you is really lovely. Like, that's a really wonderful sentiment that you're able to do that. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners? I mean, whether it's about you and your family or your agency, I mean, I think it's really important to share your local capacity and how you are right here. You are our friend and neighbor, employing our friends and neighbors and helping our friends and neighbors.
Yeah, I would say, especially in this day and age with insurance companies raising rates, a lot of volatility in the marketplace, more important than ever, you need to work with a local insurance agent. I think, you're taking a huge risk by just going online to, a Geico or a Progressive or, these online companies and shopping your rates yourself. Because again, the average person doesn't know what they need, and they're just going to choose the cheapest options without realizing the impact they could potentially have on them.
Right.
So working with a local independent insurance broker that represents multiple carriers who can look after your best interests and shop your rates around is crucial in this day and age, because we don't work for the insurance companies. We represent the insurance companies, but we work for you as the client. So we represent your best interests, not the insurance carrier's best interests.
And that, folks, is a secret to Bill's success.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being on From Print to Podcast. We appreciate your time and, of course, everything that you're doing for our community, not just in insurance, but in all the ways that you're giving back, too. So thank you, really.
Absolutely. Truly. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you. Congratulations on your Best of Roanoke Awards. I know that there's always a bunch of them every year. So thank you again, and congratulations on so much of the good work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Listeners, if you want to learn more about his insurance agency and Bill Meador and his team, you can learn about the services and so much more at meadorinsurance.com. That's MEADOR insurance.com.